on guys, my name is James. Today we're going to be talking about Ableton Live, more specifically the session view. So the name session kind of implies something like a live session or recording session, meaning that this view is basically modeled around live performances and kind of the live element of Ableton Live. So what this again is meant for is kind of performing something in real time. So there's a lot of elements that go into making this a little more intuitive for kind of triggering parts of a song live and recording that and then going back and editing it later. So basically, we'll jump right into it here. You'll notice that there's kind of this grid layout to the, this is known as the session view again. You'll notice that there's kind of this grid layout of Ableton Live here. And essentially what you're going to notice is that there's two different elements to this grid layout. There's a vertical kind of aspect to it, and there's also a horizontal aspect. So the vertical element is essentially these columns, which are known as tracks, and you have two different tracks. You have a MIDI and you have an audio track. MIDI track is where you're going to enter in stuff like note data. So say if you played something on a MIDI keyboard or even on your own keyboard or wrote in notes, you can basically create MIDI data that can then be sent to something like a synthesizer or a plugin that is then going to create sound based off of these notes that you've entered in. Then there's also an audio track, which basically uses only pre-recorded audio. So there's nothing that's really going to be created. It's going to be stuff that you're going to load off your hard drive into Ableton and then kind of trigger those samples at a different time rather than kind of synthesizing or creating the sound with the computer. It's something that's already been recorded previously that you're going to use in your mix. So you can kind of imagine a MIDI track as for example, a violin player. So a violin player is one single person and it can only play one piece of sheet music at a time. So each one of these little spots down here is essentially like a cue of sheet music in a sense. So if you want to enter in a piece of sheet music, you can double click, and that's going to bring up this piano roll, which you can then double click to enter in notes. I'm going to go more in depth into how all this stuff works here in another video, but just kind of know that this is kind of creating MIDI data, be essentially like writing out a piece of sheet music. So if you want to have multiple pieces of sheet music, you can just keep clicking and entering, adding all these clips that you could possibly want into this track here. And if you want to create another one of these horizontal rows, you can just do insert scene, and that'll give you another set of rows so you can enter in another MIDI track. But each one of these MIDI tracks, again, is like a piece of sheet music. So that's important because imagine if you're a violin player or really any instrument player, with sheet music, you can only play one piece of sheet music at a time. So in these vertical columns coming down under the name MIDI here, you can only have one of these clips playing at a time. Like sheet music, you can't play more than one piece of sheet music at a time. You can only play one of these clips at a time. So if you want to play a clip, you can just press this little play button here. And that's going to start, you can see it down here scrolling through these notes. If you want to stop it, you can press this stop button here or the stop button up top, and that's going to stop the current clip from playing. And right now you're not going to hear any sound because this is just pure MIDI data, which is just notes. There's nothing that's actually going to turn those notes into sound yet. We're going to get into instruments a little bit later. Right now we're just kind of doing an overview of the features and kind of overview of what exactly this view is. So that's kind of why you're not going to hear anything if you're entering in notes. Don't be surprised. Like I said, I'm going to be making a video on instruments a little bit later. I'm going to leave a card to that up in the, I believe that's top right. If not, it might be over here. I don't know. Yeah, so stay tuned for those. Subscribe if you want to see those. They'll be coming out really soon. So, but continuing on, there's also the audio track. So that's going to be sounds, like I said, that you're going to be taking off of your hard drive. So it's going to be pre-recorded audio that you can either cut up into little sections or just trigger the whole sample to play through. It's just going to be something that has already been previously recorded, or you can actually record it yourself using something like a microphone. You can record that into an audio track and then play that back as well. So if you want to record like a guitar playing or something like that, you can put that into an audio track. Now, similarly, as a MIDI track, you can only play one MIDI clip at a time. You can only play one audio track at a time. Imagine an audio track like a CD, how when you go to switch tracks, the current track is going to stop playing, and then it's going to switch to the next track. So if we had audio clips here, like let me just load up some clips for example. Let's see, we have Foreigner, I guess, and some Made on here. Wait for those to load in here quick. So say if we wanted to play this first MIDI track or audio track, we press the little play button. That starts playing, and then if we play the next one, then the first one stops playing, and then it starts playing the second one right from the start. So, that's a very powerful tool if you're going to be playing live. So I know we've kind of covered the vertical column aspect to it, but now kind of going across, we have these horizontal rows. So you'll notice that there's kind of these master 1, 2, all the way to 9. You can add more, again, with the insert scene, so now we have 10. But essentially, horizontally is kind of a way to arrange a song in a really rough sense. It's not as powerful as Ableton's arrangement view, which we're going to be getting into in another video, but essentially what you can do is you can start to place tracks in different horizontal rows and then trigger them at different times. So say for example, we have, you can imagine this as like maybe like an introduction melody that's going to be looping, and we're going to play Foreigner at the same time, I guess. So if we press this little play button here, it's going to trigger everything across this row. So you start to see that this track here starts playing and this track here starts playing. Now, if we want to start playing the second set, we can press this here, and then that's going to stop all of the current tracks on every other row and only play the tracks on that row there. So you can essentially arrange a song in these vertical rows, or horizontal rows, I should say, and trigger them live using these little play buttons on the side. So that does work. It isn't as powerful as Ableton's arrangement view again, but for performing live, it's a very powerful tool to kind of help plan things out ahead in a really rough idea. It's almost like an itinerary or a cue where you kind of just play down and it's going to play different clips at different times. So like I said, this is really about performance and live sets and live recording. So if you're looking to do that, then this is the perfect view for you. But if you're looking to make music, then it's going to be the arrangement view, which we're going to cover in the next video. So that's going to be it for this video. Let me know if you guys have any questions in the comments below. And again, subscribe to see these future videos. There's a lot more of Ableton that I'm going to be talking about. So definitely stay tuned for those. And if you guys drop a like. It definitely helps. And again, leave any questions you have in the comments below. Let me know if there's anything specifically you want to see in the comments below too. And yeah, so I'll catch you guys in the next one. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.